that how do we trust what you need to have a government to government trust. So visa or other things cannot really work in isolation without the government. Now that is where we are coming to. There is a proclamation for revolution. There is a which is basically, if we just put things into perspective, the historical ties with India are being targeted. And at the same time, you spoke about the 10 truck arms case, and there had been this recently, the case has been dropped altogether. Now, security has been the cornerstone of India-Bangladesh relations. It became a cornerstone during the 2001 and 2006 period. Thankfully, we then entered into economic engagements, and we all thought that this should take precedence. But then it did not, and what is happening is very, very, very concerning. So, can you tell me that how does Bangladesh gain out of it? I mean, it is beyond my logic, my understanding. So, I'm just asking.
Yeah, true. Of course, Bangladesh is not gaining anything out of it, but obviously, because of the prolonged regime of Army League for last 16 years, it has created a group of tortured people, a group of victim people who really want to get rid of Army League at any cost. And they mingled Army League with Indian friendship and everything, all these national issues, they're looking into together. Now, if there is a hostility between Bangladesh and India, obviously there is a risk of famine in Bangladesh. There is a risk of food security in Bangladesh if India and Bangladesh don't have good ties. The medical treatment problem, I have already mentioned, because we have no other bordering country. Most Bangladeshi people can't afford to go Thailand or Malaysia or Singapore for treatment. India is a very cheap and quality treatment option. And also the historical ties we have in 1971. How can you forget that, to be honest? Now, as I told, a number of people is looking this matter emotionally, but I think India must not or should not look at it emotionally. Whatever the government, India should open the dialogue, maybe one-to-one, maybe Yunus to Modi, Modi to Yunus, and engagement is much needed. To resolve a problem, if you isolate the problem, if you just block Bangladesh and think the problem is fully solved, I think it's vice versa dangerous. Obviously, because of Bangladesh hostility, India will not face famine or any big security issue. But Bangladesh is a country of 180 million, and if there is unrest inside Bangladesh, if there is a civil war, if there is a protest, if there is a famine, if there is a catastrophe, if there is a climate disaster, obviously there will be some spillover effect, and that will affect the regional harmony. So India as regional superpower should not allow it. India should continue dialogue, should start dialogue with Yunus, and should get engaged in friendship, because they are our neighbor, we are their neighbor. India, if don't engage in dialogue with Bangladesh, Bangladesh could be another conflict zone, could be another Kashmir. So there is security concern from there, obviously. And historically, this Bangladesh, it takes 3 days for Bangladesh to decide to join Pakistan in 1947 or in 1945. So there is a huge fickleness of the mindset in this region, people. So I think as a good neighbor, as a good friendly neighbor, as our long trusted friend, and as our big helping hand in 1971, any government come to Bangladesh, India should have the dialogues. Obviously, in that case, it has to be cleared whether Dr. Yunus is giving free opinion or a mob lead opinion. Obviously, he's a Nobel laureate, he's an international figure. He knows the international politics better than most of us, obviously. But if he is too influenced by the students, that will affect his diplomatic negotiation, and that's going to affect India-Bangladesh relation. If he is too influenced by communists, that will affect India-Bangladesh negotiation. If he is too affect or too influenced by Islamists, that will affect India-Bangladesh relation. He should be influenced by Bangladesh interest only. In Bangladesh, if you say about India-Bangladesh friendship, some people will blame you as Indian agent or raw agent, blatantly. In Awami League period, if you talked about any fair election or anything, some Awami League people will call you as Pakistan agent. So in this Bangladesh, we need agent for Bangladesh. We need Bengal agent. And Dr. Yunus, so long as he is in power, he must act as Bangladeshi agent. History shows in this country, if you come to power and can't handle it properly, there is a risk. We have the example of Aung San Suu Kyi. So he's on hot spot. And a discussion with India could be relief for him as well, for Bangladesh or for him, for both, and for India as well. So where there is a huge beneficial options available for both of us, why we're taking an option that is equally dangerous for us? I don't want to go for the parameter. Obviously, the parameter of loss will be higher in Bangladesh, but no doubt about it. But Bangladesh is surrounded by India, so any damage, anything will have multifarious impact. So if there is a war happening in this country, 10 million people will be out of below poverty line, and this 10 million people will start maybe engage in many crimes, maybe trafficking, maybe drug trafficking, maybe terrorism. So that's very huge issue. So India as a regional superpower, we don't have any SARC as well. We don't have any body, in fact, any multilateral body to resolve these issues. That's one problem. In that sense, I think we should have dialogue with India. India should have dialogue with Bangladesh. And as a sovereign country, Bangladesh can choose our own government. As a sovereign country, Bangladesh can choose her own foreign policy. But if India closed their door, obviously our government will look for other doors, even unsuccessfully or successfully. Maybe those doors are not equally useful like India, but any government will try to have a backup support. So why we'll go for that backup support? So I think as a closest neighbor, India should open their door.